Okay. Today is March 24th. We're getting ready to start the regular council meeting, and it's going to begin in about 5 minutes. Also, hi, I'm AJ. God, I hate recording. I am not good on camera. Okay. We'll have the speakers present. Got the entire board. Perfect. Love your outfit, Kennedy. She didn't hear me. That's okay.
Yeah, I think I might have read it. I think what happened was it was
You worked off the old one and we had a different. Yeah.
so
So you're like, yeah.
I read that.
They have their back. They're my junior. They're high school.
48, 49, 50. Trying to get a head count. Right now, you make 50.
You got all your stuff in that chair?
Yep. 'Cause-
I was going to steal the chair.
oh, you can have the chair. I just need the camera right here so we can make sure everything stays in frame.
I just don't stand for long periods of time.
Here, hon.
I like to stand outside only before entering it, sorry.
Sorry.
All right. 51, 52, 53,
Should have got the library today.
54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63. Uh-oh.
Are we at our limit?
Nope. I gotta move for the recording. This works. Sort of.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Get out to the doorway, guys. I don't do
All right.
well in crowds. Can you give me some give it?
7, 8, 9, 7.
No, it's not.
No, it's not tall enough.
Safe doing that?
This chair's plenty padded. Yes. She's in the other plan. Okay. I don't know how they fit 81 people in here because we're only at like 70, and we're running out of space. Somebody should speak up and ask them to do an official head count. Man, my time in merging that's have to be really good for holding this phone up.
Especially if people can't see.
We could use some duct tape and duct tape you to the wall.
It's all right. I'll be leaning against the wall. Just gotta find the right spot to make sure everything's. I won't. I promise.
Hello Kitty shirts.
Absolutely. I got it at Walmart. Only $10.
y'all hear what he's saying?
Say,
Okay, he's saying.
Kevin, can you repeat that? Because we
they
cannot
can
hear
actually
you.
hear over here.
We can't hear you.
Sure can't see.
Yeah.
All right, let's try this again. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, can y'all out here in the hallway here?
Nope.
They cannot.
And there are more people coming. Couple minutes. He's saying that there's another door over there, and we could stand. Some of us could stand over there to hear a little
But it
better.
looks like there's people already in that doorway as well.
Is there any way that we could do like a head count to see if there are enough seats for everybody?
We're already there.
Okay.
I did a head count as everyone came in.
Okay. So are we already at 81 then, or more than that?
If the people in the hallway step in, we're over.
All right.
And
So if everybody, with everyone's inside, we're over 81, correct?
we were over 81 before the rest of them came up.
Okay. So then will the meeting be stopped and rescheduled for a larger space then? No, all of the seats are taken.
They can't hear you on the live.
It is 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask City Council, the members, what is their pleasure. At this point in time, we have an overflow amount, so we don't have room for everyone that's planning to come to this meeting. There are a couple options for some people to stand outside, but if people are planning to cram into a room, we obviously have some limitations relative to how many people we can get in here. That would mean that we'd be looking at rescheduling this meeting at a larger venue so that we can have more people. However, we then have some issues relative to streaming once we do that, because we'll have to try to find a place where we can stream the meeting also. So I'm going to ask council if there is any recommendation as to what they would like to do in terms of handling this
Library.
particular meeting. Well, we can't just walk over to the library. We can schedule something, and that's what I'm asking council. We can't just move this meeting. That doesn't make sense, especially for the people that came here and got here and may have mobility issues. I'm not gonna do that to somebody where I just tell them we're going down the street. So, I'm gonna ask council if there are any recommendations as to where we go from here on this particular meeting this evening.
I do not favor rescheduling. I'm just saying that.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
I do not favor rescheduling.
And I agree.
You could always reschedule to the Resource Center, which is a large room at the DMV. Obviously, that would be at a later date, but there would be enough seats, and it is handicap accessible.
I make a motion to move forward with the meeting. I second.
There's been a motion to move forward with the meeting in a second. The clerk will call the roll.
I don't know.
Bennett? Yes. Payne?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll?
No.
Creed?
Yes.
There's been a motion, it has been voted on to move forward. However, if this is a safety issue and anyone from the department shows up or has any questions, they may have more of a say as to whether we're going to go forward with this meeting than whether the council does. However, at this point in time, there's been motion, it has been seconded, it's been voted on, and we're going to move forward with the meeting at this point in time. We will, at the next time, some of these issues come up, I will go ahead and take it on myself to make sure that we have that meeting at some place where there'll be more people that can get into the room, to make sure everyone has their say. Apologize for not anticipating the size of the crowd. We knew there'd be several people, but didn't anticipate this many people. So, I will apologize for council relative to that issue, but we will move forward based upon the vote that's taken by council here this evening. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members, city officials, and our streaming audience. Welcome to the March 24, 2025 City Council regular meeting. We're meeting at 26 South Payne Street, Chillicothe, Ohio. The first thing I'd like to do is to thank President Pro Tem Payne for handling the meeting last time when I was not available, and I want to thank you for handling that. At this point, I'll ask the clerk to call the attendance roll.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Bennett. Present. Payne.
Here.
Barnes.
Here.
McKeever.
Here.
Dement.
Here.
Preston. Here. Kroll.
Here.
Creed.
Here.
Second thing I would mention is that Councilman Steve Barnes has resigned from council, so we have one vacancy on council at this point in time. But I do want to welcome the newest member of council, Gunnar Barnes, who is now been appointed. I would just mention that until Gunnar was on council, we never had this kind of turnout. I would now ask Gunnar to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes for the March 10, 2025 regular meeting have been distributed. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Motion by Ms. Payne, second by Mr. McKeever, and the clerk will call the roll.
Bennett. Yes. Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston. Yes. Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Minutes are approved. Now we'll move on to reports of committees. The Development Committee, Mr. Dement.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Development has 3 items on tonight's agenda, all of them on last reads. Items 7, 8, and 9. Item 7 is an ordinance to reappropriate funds that were appropriated in the 2024 budget and not yet spent or encumbered at the end of 2024. Item number 8 is the third reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to solicit a firm to administer the 2025 and 2026 CDBG community grant programs. And the last item, number 9, is an ordinance authorizing the city auditor to create Fund 254, the Appalachian Community Grant Program, and accepting and appropriating the city's Appalachian Community Grant Program Award from the Ohio Department of Development in the amount of $34,819,990. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the Engineering Committee. Engineering Committee was chaired by Mr. Barnes. I have now appointed Mr. McKeever. I don't know that we have a report this evening unless he has something to add. Just so you understand, the way the rules of council work, if there is a vacancy in the chairmanship of a committee, I have to move someone up from that particular committee into the chairmanship, and then I can appoint to that particular committee. But that means that for the time being, a couple of council members are going to have 2 chairmanships. And so, Mr. McKeever, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Engineering hasn't had any committee meetings recently. However, we have 2 items on the agenda for tonight. Item number 2 is the third reading, a resolution consenting to the proposal submitted by the Ohio Department of Transportation to resurface the portion of US 50 beginning at South Watt Street and continuing east through the city. Second is number 3, which is a third read, an ordinance appropriating funds to purchase 2 traffic controllers necessary for the Ohio Department of Transportation Bridge Street project. That concludes your report.
Thank you. Finance and Technology Committee, Mr. Prohl.
The Finance Committee has a few items on tonight's agenda. I want to draw attention to item number 13. At this time, it deals with authorizing the disposable of municipal properties through auction. I need to amend the current legislation that was presented and include with new legislation that includes the line stating that auctions will be administered by the city's auditor's office. This detail ensures that the auctions will be managed properly and the funds are being tracked. So I would like to make a motion at this time to amend item number 13 by substitution. You should have the replacement legislation and it has that one line in it. Thank you.
Second by Ms. Preston. The clerk will call the roll relative to the amendment to the ordinance.
Bennett? Yes. Kane?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
Kiever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
The ordinance is amended. Is there anything else, Mr. Prohl?
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Human Resources, Ms. Payne.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We did have a committee meeting, March 12th. It was the third committee meeting on assignment 25-009, which is the establishment of seasonal pay scales for 2025. We did forward that to the law director's office, so we should see it on the next agenda. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Parks and Rec Committee, and Mr. Dement is doing double duty now relative to that committee.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. Parks and Recs has nothing on tonight's agenda and nothing to report. And that concludes the Parks and Rec.
Thank you. Safety Service Committee, Mr. Creed.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have one item on tonight's agenda. It is item number 6. That's up for a third read. And that's a reimbursement for the police department for $37,517.03 for police training from the Attorney General's office. So appreciate everybody voting for that tonight. We had a committee meeting earlier this evening, covered 2 items in the Safety Service Committee. One was the non-bargaining pay for the safety services, chiefs, assistant chiefs, police captains. So we voted to move that forward. So that should show up on the next agenda. Next one was appropriation of unappropriated ARPA grant money. This money that the city received a few years ago, and we had $19,130.81 left over that we could spend this year for police salaries. So we voted to move that one forward as well. And while I'm talking, we also had a facilities meeting to appropriate $30,000 to look at existing or potential buildings for the condition of the buildings, layout, renovation possibilities. And the committee, which is the entire council, voted to move that one forward as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Utilities Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Thank you again, President Schmager. Utilities has nothing to report for committee meetings. However, we do have one item on the agenda, which is the third read. First item on the agenda, which is a resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to apply for Ohio Public Works Commission grant funds for the year 2026 and to enter into an agreement with the OPWC and accept grant funds if awarded. That concludes my report.
Thank you. City Services Committee, Ms. Preston.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. City Services has one item on the agenda this evening. It's for the Transportation Department. It's a third reading, a resolution authorizing the filing of applications and proposals with ODOT for grants through the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Transportation Administration. If awarded, executing a contract with ODOT upon project approval and declaring an emergency. That is the only item we have on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Community Affairs, Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have two things on the agenda tonight. Number 5 is the third reading of the ordinance appropriating $20,000 to unappropriate general funds for the Assistance House in Ross County. And number 11, the second reading of ordinance adding chapter 555 prohibiting camping in the code ordinance of the city of Chillicothe. And that's the end of ours. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we'll move to reports of officials. Mayor Feeney.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Just one or two comments on tonight's agenda. I'll start with comments on item 11. Earlier tonight, I forwarded a letter that I had received from the police chief stating some, I guess, concerns about the ordinance as drafted. Basically, looking for clarification, I think, from council and or the law director on the implementation of some sections of that law and some of the phrasing in that proposed ordinance. I think his engagement and his evaluation review of that ordinance was useful. He expressed those concerns to me, so I'm forwarding them along to you, hopefully for clarity on that topic. And then just a few updates. Last fall, council appropriated funds to put speed humps on South Watt Street, Pawnee Road, and Logan View Drive. We were dramatically back-ordered, but finally got those in. So within the coming weeks, there will be communication, signage, and a rollout of those traffic and speed measures on those roads that I just mentioned. That'll be the first place we have them installed in the city, so there'll be some growing pains with those probably, but they were largely a result of the requests of the residents on those streets and the speeding or speeding issues in those areas, and so we're hopeful that that can help regulate speed in those areas. And then just a couple items to wrap up. I'd like to congratulate Chillicothe's own Javon Moffmer and his Liberty Flames for making it to the big dance this past week. If you had Liberty going all the way, your bracket is now busted, but as far as Chillicothe is concerned, we're very proud of his achievement. He had a great career at Cedarville and did us proud at Liberty. And then finally, I'd just like to thank Councilwoman Nickerson, Councilman Barnes for their service to the city. They were both great council people, great to work with, and cared a lot about their neighborhoods and their community. Appreciate their service, and they will be missed. And I would like to welcome the new Councilman Barnes to the room and thank him for his service looking forward. That concludes my report.
I don't want to get political, but if the Republican Party could find a Nickerson for a place, that would just be helpful. So we could just continue. But I'll move on from there. Auditor Spetney, next.
Prior to this meeting, I held a budget review. I did bring some extra copies, but it looks like those are gone. If anybody has any questions or would like information about that review session, you can contact me, email if you have any questions, or stop in my office. The only other item I have is item number 13 on the agenda. I did ask the law director to tighten up that resolution a little bit. In the committee assignment, we have already contracted with an organization that takes care of our online auction stuff. We do use 2 different auction companies, which requires 2 different resolutions. One is if we do an in-person auction, and then this one, which is our annual one that allows us to use GovDeals to do online auctions. So I just asked that we tighten those up going forward, and then that concludes my report.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Kevin Lewis and Adrian Harrison from Laborers Local 83 to come forward. I'm going to let them start with the audience participation, only because they're here to talk about a proclamation that was passed by the commissioners and has been presented to council. relative to National Work Zone Awareness Week. And, I think that's an important topic, and we're going to allow them to go first in the audience participation. If you'll just push the button so that you
Right here, Bob?
Yes.
Adrian Harrison, President of Laborers Local 83, 2032 8th Street, Brooklyn, Ohio, 45662.
I'm Kevin Lewis, I'm on the Executive Board Council Local.
So I just want to say, we've had crashes since 2019 to 2025. We've had over 26,000 accidents in Ohio, and over 6,500 of them are in 2019 alone. So since 2019, there have been 9,000 injuries and 99 fatalities, which 9 of them were road workers. So I have to say thank you to the City Council for support and hopefully signing the Highway Safety Proclamation. Your commitment to raising awareness about this critical issue demonstrates your dedication to the safety and well-being of our community. Together we can make a significant impact in promoting safer roads for everyone. So thank you for your leadership and partnership in this important initiative.
Thank you so much. Anything else? Thank you. We really appreciate what you're bringing to us. We had presented this proclamation to all of the council members, and I would ask if there is a motion to adopt the proclamation. Motion by Mr. Creed, second by Mr. Dement. The clerk will call the roll relative to the proclamation.
Bennett,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Absolutely.
Creed.
Yes.
The proclamation is adopted. I will sign that and I'll get that to you, and we really appreciate it and very much concerned. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to general audience participation. Any person wishing to address council must first provide his or her name and address. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes, and I will give you a 1 minute remaining.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Janet Griffith, 603 Comanche Road. Lived there 50 and a half years. So anyway, and all of you probably know that I am Vice President of the Caboose Trustee Board. I've been here speaking about the cabooses before, and that's what I'm going to speak about tonight. I know, and I'm thanking you for this time, by the way. Donna Stevens and John Stevens were the ones that were originally started the cabooses and remodeled them. They were wonderful people, and she always gave a report to the city because the city does own the cabooses. So that's what I wanted to do tonight. As you noticed, if you went by, that they're painted one red, which is the B&O, and it was built in 1927. And thanks to the city, that was painted. And then we took our own funds and took the front caboose, which is a 1975 chassis system. We took it and we made it the original color that it came off when it was built. And that was an improvement for the city, we think. We also recently, in February, we remodeled the whole front of the front caboose on the inside, getting ready for statehood days. Cindy Stevens is our president of the board, and the board works really hard to make you, the city of Chillicothe, who support us, proud of us. When we did statehood days, we had we had 65 people go through our caboose that day. It was a wonderful day. It was a rainy day, and you remember how bad it was, but people got out. We had Darren Barris go through. We had Kelly and Mark Johnson go through, and we had the mayor and his children go through amongst those 65 people. We have participated in every downtown function that there is, plus Shine on Chillicothe. So we are active. Our regular season will be opening on May the 14th. And And we will be open from 12 to 4 Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But we're going to try to extend our hours on Friday and Saturday night from 4 to 6 because our logs show that that's needed. When Deidre was on council, she and another council person, I don't know who the other one was, went through the cabooses. We were proud to show them through. Our volunteers are very, very good volunteers, very educated in the cabooses, but very educated, period. And they take great pride in taking people through the cabooses. And we've had a lot of compliments on them. We've taken part in every downtown, like I told you, and we intend on doing yellow days too, coming up. We've coupled with the Ross County Historical Museum downtown, and we are doing school tours. So, and we invite any of you that got extra time, and I know you do, to be volunteers. We're having our new volunteer training session on April the 23rd, and I'm sure you have a place open that you could volunteer for us. But anyway, our next project, and this is a big project, and we have got the money to replace the heating and cooling that's been there for over 30 years in the front caboose. Oh, shoot. But anyway,
I assured that once you started trying to get us to
well, I'm
volunteer.
gonna ask for extension. But anyway, and what we found out was we got the money to do the air conditioning ourselves, because we had a grant from David B. Massey to help with some of it. But we found out that the city changed codes and we have to put our electric outside on a big pole, and that's gonna cost $17,000. So we're asking you not only to volunteer, but I'm asking you to be donors, because we run strictly on donations. So if any of you got any loose money laying around, the cabooses, and the post office box is 924, and you make it to the cabooses on the top of the park. 924 is the post office box, and we would appreciate you contributing to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm not speaking on the cabooses. I'm Connie Scott. I live at 392 McKell. And I'm going to speak about the ordinance 555, the anti-camping ordinance. This ordinance, and I am supporting its passage, is a very positive improvement over the trespassing law that we currently have. This ordinance, trespassing ordinance, permits immediate removal of a violator, and the property can be seized and destroyed immediately. That's wrong. That's personal property destroyed immediately. With ordinance 555, a notice is posted so the camper is able to see he is breaking the ordinance, and is given 3 days to move his personal property. The policeman is also supposed to notify a social worker who is on staff already at the police department to connect with this camper, so the camper can be informed of where they can get shelter, where they can get help. They have 72 hours to move their items. They have an opportunity to retrieve their personal items, because the police is really, they're extending themselves to collect these items after 3 days, take them to the police department and store them. Whether it's an envelope or a box, whatever the size is, I guess they'll have to do it. This ordinance provides the keeping of the personal items of the individual, as well as being connected to a social worker. That's really important. That's an improvement. The trespassing consequences for the ordinance that has been in effect, it's a 4th degree misdemeanor, in which the offender can be initially jailed. And that offense can be on the offender's record. Now, none of us want that, because we want these people to get out of this pit that they're in, whether it's drugs, alcohol, need of education. We want them to get out of this homeless situation, and we don't want this on their record. So ordinance 555 is improving this situation. It carries a consequence of a minor misdemeanor and does not include jail time. You have 72 hours to remove your property. This really is an improvement, and it's more helpful to the homeless. I know that this ordinance is not solving the problem. This is a huge problem across the country, and we have to deal with it in city council, in the city of Chillicothe. I must compliment, Nancy, the woman with Ross County Community Action. She has written grants. She has done much to help the homeless in this area. Now, I think there's something needs to be done through the continuous improvement process for the Chillicothe City. We have this wonderful comprehensive plan that we got an Appalachian grant for. We have all this money to improve the park, to improve to build buildings. We need a long-term plan, an improvement plan for the homeless. And
1 minute left.
oh no. Too much. Okay, speed up. We need to have this long-term plan that we know what's happening, what can happen. And if it doesn't exist, we need to create it. We need to have shelters, not only in the county, but we need them to be available. We need areas for these people who I understand want to camp. They have to camp because of emotional and medical problems, emotional, physical, mental problems. They need to be outside. So we need to have a long-term plan. And I look to the mayor and his leadership team to create this plan. And if it exists, let us know what it is. The churches of this area and the Ross County Community Action have done amazing things, feeding the poor, showering the poor, getting them clean clothes. But there's more to be done because there's so many homeless because of the situation. Okay, wrap it up.
Please.
Wrap it up.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, I salute the city council for looking for an opportunity to improve the trespassing ordinance. I look to the leadership to create a long-term plan to meet the various needs of the different groups of the homeless that we have in Chillicothe. And I thank you for giving me time to talk.
So,
Name and address, please.
Nancy Schaefer, 1637 Montauk. I asked a question a week ago because I didn't understand why there was so much opposition to this ordinance. Because the vagrancy law that's in place would remove them, they would go to jail. So this seemed like a better option for people who were staying in tents and who are homeless. So I asked an attorney, and this is what he told me. He said, these are the facts that are being ignored regarding the public camping versus existing legislation for criminal trespass. If council were to completely discard the proposed anti-camping legislation and go back to criminal trespass laws, violators could be hit with a fourth-degree misdemeanor, which is punishable by up to 30 days in jail and up to a $250 fine plus court costs. There is no provision in the criminal trespass statute that gives law enforcement the ability to assist violators into receiving housing services that are more widely available in Chillicothe than anyone wants to talk about. The proposed legislation gives violators the opportunity to receive social services and assistance before any criminal penalty results. A potential violator gets a 72-hour notice to remove a campsite, and law enforcement shall notify local social services agencies of the need.
location, and identity of those requiring services. No one wants to talk about the fact that the proposed legislation requires law enforcement to assist proposed violators in receiving social services. That is nowhere to be found in the existing criminal trespass statute. If and only if a person does not remove the campsite and does not avail themselves of available services will a citation be issued. Furthermore, the ultimate first and second penalty for a violation is a minor misdemeanor which carries only a fine, no jail time, of up to $150. That is equivalent seriousness of a speeding ticket or minor traffic infraction. It simply does not get any lower in the category of offense in the state of Ohio. The committee that was tasked with putting this legislation together was appointed by the city council president. Not one of the committee members volunteered for this. Also, in the city park, both Chillicothe High School and Union High School use the park's tennis courts as their home courts. It is not uncommon during school-sanctioned tennis matches for coaches and parents to be faced with removing apparent camping people from the tennis court area and shelters to allow the tennis matches to take place without interruption. This directly impacts those events and the children that participate in them. There is not one person on the Chillicothe City Council who is undertaking this task with heartlessness or lack of compassion, and I thank you for that. The proposed legislation is directly opposed to that goal. The goal of the proposed legislation is to afford people in need of social services and give them 3 full days to take advantage of those services before a violation is ever filed. None of that exists with the current solution. So then I went on to do my own investigating, and I found out that 8 months ago, the Supreme Court ruled that cities have the right to enforce bans limiting homeless people sleeping in public spaces. This legislation is not punished, but instead it allows people enough time to get their belongings without fearing that they get tossed. It also allows officials to offer them assistance in finding the help they need. And it also stops the piles of trash that is left behind when a tent city exists. The current legislation even lowers the fine by $100. Sleeping in the park is neither safe nor sanitary for anyone who resides inside our city limits, regardless of how long they have been there. And I'm asking, didn't the city just pay $35,000 to clean up a homeless camp that became so filthy that it became a risk to the citizens living in our community? Is that true?
Was that the one on Charleston Pike?
Yes.
That was in the county. That was
Okay, it was the
that
county.
was Parks.
That $35,000 could have been spent on a program that provided the homeless more choices. We as a community need to continue to focus on business development, job growth, and strong family presences in the core for community development. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Beverly Wilkes. I live at 156 Hanover Drive, Chillicothe. First, I want to thank you all for your service. And I just realized you all have really lived lives of service here in Chillicothe and beyond. We've got involved in the police department, fire department, education, prison system, and the arts. I also want to thank you for helping fund the 24/7 shelter, the Community Resource Center, which is changing lives. And I want to thank specifically council members Greg Seaver and Lisa Bennett for participating in the Ross County Continuum of Care to End Homelessness. That organization, for those who want to know about plans about homelessness and want to really know what's going on, that that is actually HUD dictated organization, and you can come to the meetings and hear it all and understand what's going on better, and also plan, help plan. They meet on the first Wednesday in the library annex at 1 o'clock. Okay, and thank you, Councilmember Dan DeMitt, for your thoughtful response to an email that I sent to council members. Thank you, Council President Kevin Shoemaker, for holding that review meeting for homeless, and thank you for all of you members, which was most of you, who showed up and participated. Thank you, Council members Dan and Lisa,
for ensuring that gentleman that has the homeless experience was able to get to the microphone and speak. And what that gentleman stated, but stuck with me, I don't know if it stuck with you, that it's not safe on the streets. The proposed ordinance references safety, we've heard safety concerns here. But what that gentleman was telling us was, he's not safe on the street. He didn't want to necessarily be there, but he's not safe, and other people that are homeless are also not safe. Data shows that unsheltered people are much more likely to be victims of crime than perpetrators, especially violent crime. And people experience homelessness are in a daily struggle just to live another day. At the review meeting, I talked about the homeless young father, Fred Letts, who died in an alley here in Chillicothe on January 6th during a level 3 snow emergency. His former teacher I talked to, she describes him as a nice young man. And he's not the only one who died. So when talking safety, homelessness can be fatal. I understand that some people see some good things, especially in comparison to the trespassing groups, like connecting folks to resources. But in truth, that's nothing new. You heard, it's already happening.
You got 1 minute.
What, say, 1 minute?
1 minute.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Well, it's hard when you're a preacher's kid, because you gotta preach. Most everyone, I think, is familiar with it, some version of the golden rule. You know, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So I try to imagine, you can too, I'm sure you have, that I'm unsheltered, or you're unsheltered. And what is it that I really want someone to do? You know what I really want? Probably, I don't know. I'm not been there, thank God. I want basic human needs. I want to survive another day. Food, water, shelter, and so forth. So some people say, well, confound it, we're helping them. Well, not literally, because they're already being helped. And why don't they just go to the shelter, which you already fund? But you know that doesn't have the capacity. And some people are barred. And some people can't live, really, because of mental trouble in congregate spaces where 80 people, all ages, including children. That's it?
Yes.
Okay. Who's our neighbor? Our neighbor is, when you think of the Good Samaritan, this neighbor was the one that was most vulnerable, the one that was hurt. Well, I think that's what, we are all neighbors, but I think that's what our neighbors are. It's the one that we need to help. So, and one final thought, Gordy.
One final thought.
Okay. Just remember, Jesus was homeless, okay?
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share some information, hopefully educational. We have some new members of council. My name is Melanie Spoiler. I'm a Ross County Community Action employee. I live here in Roberta Lane in Chillicothe. I coordinate the homeless outreach team for Ross County Community Action. So I am here to represent that outreach team, effectively linking with homeless. I would like to let you know, first of all, that it is a team approach. We have a large team of volunteers. Some are not volunteers. I will say some are reimbursed by their employers, by the agency, who allows them to come on the outreach team. This is an evidence-based strategy. That makes a lot of difference. I'm not sure how familiar you are with strategies. Some are evidence-based, some are not. This is an evidence-based strategy. It's a team approach. Some of those team members include Ross County Community Actions. Besides myself, peer support, sojourners, job and family services, Veterans Administration, homeless liaison, staff, which are social workers, Ross County Health District, law enforcement, treatment providers, and Ohio University Nursing Program that offers nursing students an opportunity to learn more about homelessness. Those
they will serve sometime. Community volunteers, including individuals in recovery, which might be a surprise to you. Those folks in recovery enjoy getting out. It's an opportunity for them to give back, which is super important when you're in recovery. And church volunteers, many church volunteers throughout our gracious community who provide not only supplies to provide needs of our homeless, but they provide sack lunches. We take a sack lunch every time we go out for homeless outreach. So what do? We meet them where they are. Where is that? Well, I can tell you almost assuredly there is no tent city in city limits of Chillicothe. We meet them where they are, whether that's a garage, a vacated garage, tent, in their car. And we treat them respectfully. We treat them like human beings, like all the rest of us desire to be treated. Every outing, we provide each individual with an outreach bag that has a lot of supplies that I've listed is given by church members, church donations, community donations, large quantities of community donations, other opportunities from other organizations. I'm not going to list here this evening. One important thing that we always give is a large black trash bag. You may remember me telling you this in the past. Everybody gets a large trash bag. What you may not be aware of is we've also coordinated with city service departments. So when those trash bags are filled and we educate and encourage the homeless to use those trash bags for the purpose of picking up their trash and cleaning up their site, if they put them near a receptacle, whether it's a park, whether it's the walking path near a trash receptacle, our city service department works alongside us to pick up that trash. Resources that we also provide is seasonal to some extent, bug spray, hot hands. We provide warm clothing in the winter, dry socks, very important, nail clippers. We provide assistance to apply for their SNAP benefit and keep their Medicaid up to date. Our collaborating partners go beyond the outreach team per se. We make referrals every time we're out to detox, to treatment, medical providers. Many of these individuals have no medical home. They can be diabetics, they can have infections, bug bites that become infectious, any number of medical needs. So we create that relationship for a medical home and get them medical care. Community Resource Center, which has already been touted and spoken of this evening. Salvation Army, Southeastern Ohio Legal Services, and multiple housing options, more of which we are desperate need of. We are in constant communication with our partners. The question begs, what else can we do when the team goes out? What do they need? What aren't we doing? What are we missing? It's an ongoing conversation. So now I'm asking you, as the city council, what else can we do? What are you doing? Demonstrate to the city, to those who are elected to you. What are you doing to mitigate this issue? And how is this ordinance helping the situation? Thank you.
I'm Catherine Stevens. I live at 511 North High Street here in Chillicothe. I, had a whole thing to say at the last review, but then also was told time and time again by multiple people, we have no solutions. So I attended the Ross County COC, which is continuing care meeting, with Julie Boland. And then I had spoke with Molly, and I actually went with Molly on the last outreach thing that we did here in Chillicothe. The issue being is, we have this ordinance and it's been set forth and it was requested back in January from the law director to address. Issue and concern with that is between the beginning of December when that was sent out to now, every homeless encampment that is within the city limits has been closed down. We had this issue whenever we were going up to try to give resources to these individuals that they're not there. We did meet somebody in the parking lot, and I did ask if it was okay, which you told me to use, but it wasn't the homeless stated that the issue is we have nowhere to go at this point. There's not enough room in the shelter for everyone. And then even some of the housing that was set forth down off the, I like this. On the street. Yeah, on the street. They said that was more ridden with drugs than it was out on the streets. I guess my question is, and looking over, finances, I've been in contact with the auditor of Ross County. I have been in contact with Community Action. We're spending $58.06 a day for them to be jailed when the homeless shelter approximated, it's, so, for a cot a night is $12. To sponsor a cot for a week might be $85. But if we're gonna spend, approximately for that one individual in that day of $26.25, why are we not allocating different money to be spent somewhere else to help them? The issue we're really facing when looking at the ordinance only gives advice or recommendations for the police to follow moving forward. The issue that presents with this ordinance is that it's taken multiple months for this to even be discussed, and yet they've already done what they're doing. They went into their homes, their encampments, they got rid of everything, they bent it away. They didn't give them any options or time to get out. We can sit here and beat a dead horse about this ordinance, but everything's already been done what they're gonna do for the city. And now moving forward, possibly not, but, looking forward for the goal. We need examples of incorporating homelessness and poverty, designing public spaces for all people, creating open sight lines, incorporating social service kiosks possibly, providing bike repair stations, providing shade, providing places for daytime rest. Addressing homelessness and poverty is ensuing tenant protections, enacting strong eviction protections or rent control policies, developing affordable housing initiatives, providing access to social services and support programs. There's increasing the availability of affordable housing units. Zoning reforms and tax incentives are critical for encouraging the construction of affordable housing in high demand areas. Changing the model of the system. Clearly, we know that this isn't just a Chillicothe issue. This is a nationwide problem. We need to address like a housing first model. Okay. So we need to prioritize housing, finding them the proper place to go. Because going in and just wiping them completely clean and saying, well, we're giving them 72 hours. The issue is they have nowhere to go. We don't have the resources. I've sat and asked a police officer for the resources. Stopped over, he was sitting in the city court, asked him. And then they said, I think this lady behind me said that, the social worker, well, she's only available Monday to Friday, 8 to 4, so I guess if you're homeless after 4 p.m., you don't really have much of a resource. So I think these are other things that we need to think about before we make a decision. And whether that is tabling it because the cops have already done what they're doing, that's not changing the matter of that, but we need to find a solution and work as a community to figure this out. It's not just write an ordinance, write tickets, and think that's gonna solve the problem. And it's gonna take all of you to be able to help do that.
We've had 45 minutes to talk about this topic, and we're limited to 15. I would ask that we move forward with other public participation, please.
If
I would make a motion that we allow them to continue.
There's been a motion and a second.
How you gonna see who wants to?
Clerk will call roll.
I'll be real nice, I promise.
Bennett.
Come on.
No. Kane.
One said yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
No.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston. No. Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
No.
This is the only time that there's likely to be a tie vote here. And guess what? I get a cast one. So we're gonna have a couple more speakers. It does say in our rules that if there are 3 members that move to limit that can happen, but, we're gonna have a couple more, and, hopefully that will allow us to move forward so that we don't take too much time for everybody, okay? All right, that's where we are.
Nathaniel Elliott, can you hear me okay?
Your mic's not on.
There it is. Actually, okay. Nathaniel Elliott, 590 West 5th Street, apartment 6. This is not what I want to be doing tonight. I hate it, really. Dan, I know you feel me. I'm pretty sure most of you probably do. But I keep deciding that it's worth my time and energy to speak on this issue that worries me for this city, the camping ordinance. You on council have listened to a lot of talk about this, and maybe tonight you decide what to do with this legislation. If you don't know what I do, I'm a transportation planner for the paper mill. It's a management job, kind of boring. I've been in logistics for 10 years. Before that, retail management. Before that, I was briefly a teacher. I was raised by church pastors. I'm a political independent. This is just trying to get through this part. I've experienced times of unemployment and mental health crisis. I've had my life saved by firefighters and doctors, and I volunteer as a board member for the Pea Valley ADAMH, and something I hope to do is to save a life as well, hopefully, with something that I do in my work. I've never worked for the city, but my papa Thurman served passionately as a councilman at large for many, many years. In my present job, I'm constantly making decisions, responding to hundreds of emails, and executing tens of thousands of dollars of shipments every day. These responsibilities are my job. The planning part of my job gets technical, but as with any planning-related decision-making, we operate within a framework. We have guidelines dictating how to set up transportation permitting orders. It's logic-based work. Now with Chapter 555, you've heard a lot of folks express what some call appeals to your humanity or emotional appeals. In management, however, emotions take a back seat to logic and reasoning. Some say business isn't about emotions, even though human beings are affected by business. Some of you may look at this issue from more of a business management point of view. And just like I have to rely on technical guidelines to do my job, you in city government rely on the law to keep your house in order, and it makes sense. We have a capable law director who represents the law and wrote Chapter 555 before handing it to council for consideration. And I imagine that it feels like that carries the weight of authority. But it's not the law director's job to legislate, that's council's job. Council has to own this, and if the city has operational trouble on account of what you decide to do with Chapter 555, you council members own it. It's not a quick, easy decision. If this ordinance passes as written and it hurts the budget, you own it. If it hurts people in this city, as you've been informed that it will, you own that. When people of this city see the harm that's done and are dissatisfied with you, you own that. Each of you is a decision maker here, not the law director, not other people in your political party. It is you who have been hired by the public to take responsibility. If this passes and the ACLU gets involved and it turns into a costly court battle for the city, that becomes your legacy. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, but I know I'd need to think in these terms if I were. Voting yes is not your only option. You can table this, you can vote no, you can pull out a pen and edit this thing. Mayor Feeney said concerns about the language and concerns from our police chief that need taken into consideration before this legislation should be taken to a vote.
Good, 1 minute.
The best option is to table it, then discuss it on public record with one another, consult experts, see what works in other cities, collaborate bipartisanly, and if you still think the city needs an ordinance about camping, while trespassing, littering, leaving out sharps, and burning trash are already covered by ordinances going back to the 1950s, then work together to find solutions that are both humane and logical. People pointed out that there are some merits in some of the things that are said in the language as it's written. But that doesn't change the fact that it's flawed and you need to do more to change what's in there and make it right. Read up, discuss, take ideas back to the law director, write another draft, discuss it, change things, rewrite, do several drafts. It is a process. Get it right. Don't set the city up for disaster and lawsuits. Don't hurt people. Be responsible. Make decisions you can be proud of. Do the work. It's your job. That's the advice I'd want to hear and follow if I were in your shoes. Thank you for serving the city and listening today, as always. That's all I have to say.
Awesome. This is my first time doing this, so I'm sorry if I'm a little shaky. My name is Logan Hudson, and I'm here on High Street. Good evening, members of the council, fellow residents and neighbors. I am a proud trans man, a resident of Chillicothe, and someone deeply invested in the well-being of our community. I stand before you today to express my strong opposition to the 555 anti-camping legislation, which will only serve to criminalize and further marginalize some of our most vulnerable neighbors. Let me be clear, this legislation does not solve homelessness, it punishes it. It does not address the root cause of poverty, it ignores them. And it does not make our community safer, it simply makes it easier to look away. I work in Franklin County as a supervisor for an in-home kindergarten readiness program. Every day I witness firsthand how housing insecurity impacts young children and their families. Without stable housing, children struggle with education, parents face constant uncertainty, and the cycle of poverty deepens. Forcing people out of sight by criminalizing camping does nothing to address these issues. It only creates further instability. I think everyone here in this room can agree to all of those things. As a trans man, I am particularly concerned about how this legislation will disproportionately harm LGBTQ+ individuals or other folks in this city that are trying to access beds in existing homeless shelters. According to national studies, LGBTQ+ youth and adults experience higher rates of homelessness due to family rejection, discrimination, and lack of access to affirming services. I know some folks in today's world like that idea, but I'm terrified of it. When you introduce anti-camping laws, you're directly targeting a population that is already overrepresented in homeless statistics. You're making it harder for people like me, people who are often already fighting for dignity and survival, to find safety. I ask you, what happens when you remove people from public spaces without offering them somewhere else to go? I can't easily walk into a shelter and ask for the services that I need and get a fully warm response. When you find or arrest someone for sleeping outside, you are not solving their housing crisis. You are adding legal and financial burdens to people already struggling. This does not reduce homelessness, it institutionalizes it. Instead of passing punitive legislation, I urge this body to prioritize real solutions. First, invest in Housing First initiatives, which provide stable homes without preconditions. Support these wraparound services that we've heard here today, such as mental health care, substance use treatment, employment programs, because homelessness is not a crime, it is a crisis of unmet needs. Engage with local organizations that serve these marginalized groups, including LGBTQ+ individuals, unhoused residents, other marginalized communities, to ensure policies reflect lived experiences. If those don't exist here in our town, which I know they do, there's still outside resources that are ready to talk about these issues in the Appalachian region. Criminalizing homelessness is not a solution, it is an adaptation of our shared responsibility to care for one another. I call on you to reject this legislation and instead commit to policies that prioritize dignity, compassion, and real change. Thank you.
We are now going to move on to old business, or is there any old?
Mine was mine.
I'm going to give the last two just because of time. It's not, I'm not trying to stop anybody, but this isn't about the homeless issue, so it's a different issue you're talking about.
It's about an educational issue.
I'm going to give two more speakers, and then we're going to move on. Okay? So I'll give you that opportunity, and then one more. All right?
So we heard some disinformation tonight about.
Could I have your name and address, please?
Oh, my name is Stan Johnson, and 29 North Brownell Street. We heard some disinformation tonight about specific laws that are in place, specifically what public trespassing is, or private trespassing, or public trespassing in general, criminal trespassing.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but this sounds like we're going back into the same.
No, this is
issue.
specifically about criminal trespassing, and I want to explain that so that people know what that means. No, it hasn't, I'm not talking about the ordinance.
Excuse me. I'm going to give you a couple minutes.
You guys lied a second time and spread disinformation the second time.
Wait, oh, excuse me.
Yes,
Now
I'm
wait a
sorry.
minute.
I just wanted
We're
to.
going to run, excuse me for a second. Look, people are allowed to disagree on these issues. And people are going to get to have their say on these issues. But we're talking about dignity for people, and we're gonna treat everybody with respect and with dignity. So we're not gonna get into arguments, and we're not gonna fight about these things. We're gonna have a real discussion about it. If you can do it in a couple of minutes, because it is on the issue that we were just talking about. So feel free, go ahead. You've got a couple minutes.
Respectfully, this is about a specific law so that people know what they're talking about. Criminal trespassing applies to private property. A person charged with criminal trespassing can be charged so when it is at somebody's residence, when it is somebody's private business, when it is somebody's private property. This does not apply to places that are public property. This does not apply to sidewalks. This does not apply to public areas. If it is accessible to the public, you cannot be trespassed. If it is a private business, if it is a private home, then you can be trespassed. So, therefore, you're not having people being thrown in jail because they're sleeping on a sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you. One final thing. I'm only gonna allow one, so.
Well, I'm gonna talk out of your head. Is there something in council rules that says I can't talk?
Well, I'm not talking about the homeless ordinance.
Excuse me for a second. I have the authority to limit this to 15 minutes. I'm trying to be as liberal about that as I can so that everybody gets their chance.
Was about one topic.
It was, and as long as this is a separate topic, that once again, excuse me, the last person though was talking about the ordinance, and so I just want to say, this should not be about the ordinance, or I'm gonna stop that, because we're just not gonna keep going on the one ordinance, okay? So, go for it.
I do want to say my subject was about representation on the council. So
I
before,
need a name and address.
oh, sorry, I'm Gail of Kaltenbach, 505 McKellar Street. Before I begin here, I want to make it clear that I'm not really talking to the council because I'm talking to a brick wall. I'm talking to the people behind me. I truly do not believe you have the people of our city's best interests at heart, nor do you care to hear us. I want principled people to be on my city council representing me. And so far, none of you have shown me that you have consistent principles. Feel free to prove me wrong because I want to be, because if I'm wrong, then things are going to get better. But if I'm right, it's going to get worse with you here. I get the impression you're here because you think you're entitled to control and power, or that it would be a part-time job, you rubber stamped violence, and got your asses kissed in the process. And whose ever asses you're kissing, I suspect is
Excuse me.
People are dying.
Wait.
No, that's disrespectful. You sit.
Okay, I will not curse. No.
Well, wait, excuse me. I think you're talking about the ordinance. Look, you should address.
I'm addressing.
You can address it.
You're right. That was
Don't be
disrespectful.
specific
Let me
to
get
this.
to what I was going to say originally.
This is about the ordinance.
No, it's not. I have something that is beyond that.
Great, let's get to it.
Please let me get to it.
I'd be more than happy to do that.
I am. You have not respected anybody.
Okay. Oh, honey.
Wait a minute,
You are a seat of rich people.
Excuse me. That goes both ways from the person.
Sorry, didn't go how planned.
As well as people in the crowd. All right? We're gonna run this in an orderly fashion. That's the way this is gonna work. All right? This will be the last speaker of the evening before we move on to other business. Does everybody understand that? Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Renner and my address is 98 Douglas Avenue. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. I come before you not only as a concerned citizen, but as someone who believes in transparency, accountability, and the respectful treatment of everyone in our community. Over the past several weeks, I have made multiple public records requests in hopes of understanding how decisions are made and ensuring that the public's right to information is upheld. Unfortunately, I have experienced significant delays and a lack of adherence to these requests. Public records are a vital tool for ensuring that our local government operates openly and in the best interest of all citizens. When these requests are not honored properly or completely, it erodes trust and undermines the very foundation of our local democracy. I wish to address a personal matter regarding the tone and content of communications from our elected officials. On March 14th, I received an email from my councilperson for the 6th Ward that has left me deeply troubled. The email read as follows: Miss Renner, what a beautiful Friday evening to spend with family after working a long week at a real job. So happy this work week is over. Of course, council has been busy as well. It's such a pleasure to try to save a kids football league for our local youth to enjoy. Also requesting and securing a pay raise for our young seasonal workers makes a person feel good. Lots of busy work, but well worth it. I did see where you demanded 48 hours to send over various emails and all associated components of each email. Another way with which to send you mechanisms in the ORC 149.43 that lets a requester set an enforceable time limit overriding the statutory terms. To add to that, 48 hours isn't reasonable, and I was thinking more along the lines of 3 to 4 business days. I hope that clears things up. Thanks. I want to be clear, that's the end. It is entirely acceptable to state that 48 hours is not feasible and that more time is needed to gather the requested information. However, the tone of the email was unnecessarily hostile and unprofessional. The implication that I do not work a real job or that council members themselves are not engaged in meaningful work was both hurtful and disrespectful. This message has left me feeling disheartened and genuinely confused, as it detracted from the constructive dialogue that is necessary for addressing public concerns. I understand that the responsibilities and pressures faced by elected officials are significant, yet it is during those most challenging times that we must hold ourselves to high standards of professionalism and respect. Our constituents deserve clear, courteous communication, even when our viewpoints differ or when operational timelines require adjustments. In light of these experiences, I respectfully ask that the City Council take immediate steps to ensure that public record requests are processed in a timely and complete manner, and that all communications with the public reflect the respect and professionalism that every citizen deserves. Our community deserves a government that is both transparent and responsive. By addressing these issues head-on, we not only uphold the principles of accountability, but also foster a more respectful and effective dialogue between our elected officials and the people they serve. Excuse me. Thank you for your time and commitment to our community. I look forward to seeing positive changes that benefit all residents of our city. And I do just want to more off the cuff say that really hurt my feelings. And,
once again, that should be the communication with the council.
Well, I think that it's important that everyone knows and all the other council people know that they were being very disrespectful and unprofessional. I think other people should know that.
I apologize for the use of those words. I do apologize for that.
We're gonna move on now to old business and responses.
Before you move on, I just want to make an announcement to everybody here. If you wanted to speak and were not able to, I have been recording the meeting and will continue recording. See me afterwards if you wanted to speak and were not able. Thank you. AJ Tainer, 81 North Payne, apartment 2B.
We've already said that at this point in time, I'm gonna stop with all of this. We're gonna have a meeting, the next meeting, I'm gonna hold it in a place where everybody can come, and I'll hold it early enough in the evening that anybody wants to speak. We're not trying to keep people from speaking. But I wanna make it sure that I'm gonna control these meetings, because otherwise they get out of control and people start arguing with each other. And if anybody thinks that's helpful to this process, they are wrong, okay? So, what I'm gonna say is, we're gonna move on to old business and responses. Obviously, you can record whatever you want, and we're gonna move on now and ask if anybody on the council has any old business to bring before the council. Mr. Prohl.
Hi there. Well, I tell you what, my old business piled up in the last couple of weeks. I wanted to use this time to say goodbye to 2 outgoing council members. My plan was to say goodbye to 1, but then we had 2. So Deidre and Steve, it was my privilege to serve a few years with Deidre, and she had a conscience and conviction that made her such a valuable leader for our community. She was always there for encouragement and insightful opinions, and I have missed her this past year as she took time to spend with her ailing mother, and I'm deeply saddened by that passing, and my thoughts are with Deidre for that. And I tell you, such a good person, and I really do miss her on council. And now that she's stepping away from council, I wish her all the best, and I know that more adventures await. I also wanted to say that I didn't get to work with Steve Barnes for long, but in that time we shared on council, I enjoyed his positive attitude and his warm personality. He joined and took it all in stride, and I really appreciated my time with him. Steve served his community as a firefighter, and council was kind of an extension of that service to his community, and I hope he enjoys his much-deserved retirement. Such a great guy, and I wish you both, Steve and Deidre, I wish you both the very best. And I thank you for your service, and I thank you on behalf of this community, because what you do matters. Thanks a lot.
I think I can second that for everybody that's on council. Those two members were wonderful, wonderful people, and they will be missed. And we're glad that others will join us, but they will be missed. And thank you so much for those comments. Next, we'll move on to petitions and correspondence.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. I've not received anything.
I know council has received at least a couple of letters today requesting that the ordinance that's being discussed tonight, that be tabled. And then we also have that correspondence that came from the police department, and I'll have those letters available here with the information about this meeting today. With that, we're going to move on to the reading of ordinances and resolutions. Well, let's go to new business. You got some new business too?
I got some new business too.
Good deal.
Okay, I gotta keep busy, Last week I made a motion to table legislation dealing with the camping within city limits. The legislation was meant to address problems with homelessness within the city. That is to say, it provides additional ways to prosecute homeless population, or at least move them out of sight. The hope of this legislation was to clean up the city and to clear away the blight of homelessness. What it does is nothing near addressing the root causes of homelessness or offer a path out of homelessness. The legislation, allows us to criminalize poverty. It does not end homelessness. It does not reduce homelessness. It will not result in a cleaner city. It is, however, going to be a cost to the city and its resources to enforce this and maintain this ordinance. Now, I'm all for people being held accountable for their actions, but I can't abide people being accountable for situations outside their control. It would be nice if people would pick up the messes that they made, but the ordinance is not about litter. It would be nice if people could break free of the chains of addiction, but the ordinance is not about drug trafficking or addiction. This is about taking from people who have nothing, because we lack the courage to offer real solutions that might require us to make some sacrifices, even out of our own lives. The people at council, I respect these people. They're my friends. They're my, co-counsel. They are not doing this, in my opinion, to bring in harm to people or the city. But they've started down a path, and I believe that path leads nowhere. And I want to offer a way back, and that is why at this time I would make, once again, a motion that we table this legislation so that we can come up with something better in the future, something that can truly address the situation and offer better options and more input and collaboration with the citizens of the city of Chillicothe. So I make this motion that we table this legislation.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second the motion.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
No.
Payne.
No.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
No.
DeWitt.
No.
Preston.
No.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
No.
Motion fails. We will now move on to the reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have 13 items on our agenda this evening. Item number 1 is the third reading of a resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to apply for Ohio Public Works Commission grant funds for the year 2026 to enter into an agreement with the OPWC and accepting grant funds if awarded.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Next resolution.
Item number 2 is the third reading of a resolution consenting to the proposal submitted by the Ohio Department of Transportation to resurface a portion of US 50 beginning at South Watt Street and continuing east through the city.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 3 is the third reading of an ordinance appropriating funds to purchase 2 traffic controllers necessary for the Ohio Department of Transportation Bridge Street project.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next resolution.
Item number 4 is a resolution authorizing the filing of applications and proposals with the Ohio Department of Transportation for SFY 2027 grants through the U.S. DOT Federal Transit Administration as authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 U.S. Section 5311, formula grants for rural areas, and the Ohio Transit Partnership Program grant, both in Ohio's Rural Transportation Program, and grants authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 U.S. Section 5339, grants for buses and bus facilities, Ohio's Bus and Bus Facilities Transportation Program, accepting such grants if awarded, executing a contract with ODOT upon project approval, and declaring an emergency.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 5 is the third reading of an ordinance appropriating $20,000 from unappropriated general funds for the Assistance House of Ross County Incorporated.
Clerk, call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 6 is the third reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating Attorney General's Office reimbursement funds received as reimbursement for police training in the amount of $37,517.03.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 7 is the third reading of an ordinance reappropriating funds that were appropriated in the 2024 budget and not yet spent or encumbered at the end of 2024.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next resolution.
Item number 8 is the third reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to issue a request for proposal to solicit a firm to administer the PY 2025 and PY 2026 Community Development CDBG programs and enter into an agreement with the awarded firm, and authorizing the awarded firm to file an application for the CDBG Community Development Allocation Program and competitive set-aside grants, including but not limited to Neighborhood Revitalization Grant, Downtown Revitalization Grant, Targets of Opportunity Grant, Critical Infrastructure Grant, Economic and Residential Infrastructure Grant.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 9 is the third reading of an ordinance authorizing the city auditor to create Fund 254 Appalachian Community Grant Program and accepting and appropriating the city's Appalachian Community Grant Program Award from the Ohio Department of Development in the amount of $34,819,990.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next resolution.
Item number 10 is a resolution, the second reading of a resolution, declaring the necessity of amending sections 163.013F, 163.03, 163.08, and 163.16 of the codified ordinances of the city of Chillicothe in order to renew the existing 0.2% levy that expires on December 31, 2025, at the same rate and for exclusive use toward the continuation of street paving, repairs, and improvements for a 10-year period beginning January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2035. Resolving that said amendment should be placed before the electors at the election to be held on November 4th, 2025.
The resolution will move to the next agenda, next ordinance.
Item number 11 is the second reading of an ordinance adding Chapter 555, prohibited camping, to the codified ordinances of the city of Chillicothe, Ohio.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda, next ordinance.
Item number 12 is the second reading of an ordinance appropriating $36,000 to cover the city's cost for the Ohio Department of Taxation deficiency balance from the municipal net profit returns in 2024 and declaring an emergency.
The ordinance will move to the next agenda, the next resolution.
Item number 13 is the second reading of a resolution authorizing the disposal of municipal property that is not needed for public use or is obsolete or unfit for the use for which it was acquired in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 721.15, by way of auction and declaring an emergency.
The resolution will move to the next agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Ms. Bennett, second by Ms. Payne, and clerk will call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Before everybody leaves, I would like to offer an apology for any perceived disrespect. It was not intended.
Thank you.
It's still going, but you got 2 messages. I didn't.
That's fine. Okay. My name is AJ Tainer. That was the official end of the meeting. I did open the floor so that anybody who wished to speak but was not able to could see me after the meeting. I do not know if anybody will take me up on this. However, the offer has been made and is open. We will be pausing until someone takes me up on it.